You can be a blogger, writer, whatever the case is, but you're not an expert in the field that you're critiquing. You can learn about it, which is what I try to do. I try to learn as much as I can about the things that I'm writing and talking about, but I will never be an expert. I will never be as experienced as the people that I'm writing about. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about Destiny, and recently we experienced another one of those instances where everybody lost their inventories. It's never fun when that happens, but Bungie came out with a blog post that went into extreme detail on how this whole ordeal got started, and they really went in depth on how the whole process was handled from beginning to end. They owned up to the error, in their own ways, but they mentioned what it took to resolve the issue and what they planned on doing going forward, which is good. So if you haven't had a chance to read that, I definitely recommend reading that. It's pretty interesting to see on the other side. But in terms of what that has to do with today's video, I recently was streaming and just started talking about Destiny, kind of piggybacking off of the recent news about Anthem, which I have another video on the channel about. I kind of wanted to talk about the state of Destiny and the future of Destiny going into potentially another year and hopefully into the future with Destiny 3, because currently the game is in a place where we get a lot of bugs. There's a lot of glitches going on, and those are to be expected. But in a game that's as big as Destiny is, and with so many moving parts like it has, there's a lot of opportunity for things to go wrong, and those things, they seem to be going wrong pretty often right now. I have faith that Bungie will work through it and clean up the bugs here and there, but in the long term, and I'm pretty sure they were already working on this, and they're definitely thinking about it, and I'm pretty sure they mentioned it already, but there needs to be something that happens, whether it's curating the game as they mentioned they would do with things like Gambit or other things. So that's kind of what I discuss in this video, and yeah, I'm gonna just let it play. So if you guys enjoy it, be sure to drop a like, comment down below. There's a lot of ideas that I throw out there on Twitter, and I see a lot of people throw out ideas. So if you guys have ideas or anything you want to share, definitely share it down below in the comments, and let's talk about it. Because yeah, there's never enough time to fix the things that need to be fixed, especially when you're trying to maintain a game and continue to add content. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't understand, is that when you're making a game and adding so many moving parts to it, you're only opening yourself up for more problems. And we can look at Destiny right now as it currently stands, and we can see that right now in Destiny, even just look at this season. Right now, there's so many things in the game that are broken, right? Broken, need to be fixed, need to be removed in some aspects. But there's a lot of things that are just compiling on top of each other because there's so many moving parts. Like there's so many different aspects of Destiny, from new seasonal content to old base game content. There's a lot of things that need to be reworked and cut down, honestly, because if Destiny 2 is gonna last for the next 2 years or so, which I predict what they're trying to do, make it last another 2 years, but if it's gonna last another 2 years, they're gonna definitely need to cut out some of the older content. And I kind of went into this a little while back, but cutting out things like the old Gambit, the original Gambit, keeping Gambit Prime, going all in on that mode. Obviously keeping the strike playlist, maybe cutting out some of the older strikes, some of the lesser desired strikes, maybe like the Mercury strikes, cutting those out in order to shrink the strike pool size. Maybe that will allow them to add more loot to the strike playlist, by cutting that stuff out. Even things from like older DLCs, like in Forsaken, getting rid of the blind well, right? I don't see them doing anything with the blind well anytime soon, and that's fine because Forsaken's been out for a while. Now, yeah, it's a little bit challenging to say get rid of the blind well when it's part of some paid content, but we're always paying for Destiny, and that's why I think going into Destiny 3, we're going to see this model that they're pushing right now. We're going to see that go they're gonna go in on that same business model 100-fold, I believe. Right? They're gonna go in on the whole subscription style model, where you'll see things coming and going, and it'll just be the norm. Right? They'll have their base game, but the expectation will be set from the beginning that, hey, look, you're paying for this. This is the content that will always be there. This is the additional content that you're paying for that will come and go. And that'll become a more sustainable business model. It'll become a more sustainable environment for them to play around in, to update the game, change things and stuff like that. It'll be a lot better for them because they'll be able to do more of what they want to do. Unlike what they're doing right now. Right now, they're maneuvering their way around content that's kind of solidified within Destiny. And, I don't want to sound like I know what it takes to make a game. I don't. But if I had to guess, the reason why so many things are going wrong in the game right now, it's because all the layers of code for the game that is being continuously added over each season on top of the older things, they all kind of intermingle and intertwine. So when one thing goes wrong here, it could chain all the way through a whole mess and cause an issue somewhere else. And that's why it takes so long for them to actually resolve a lot of these issues, because it's not just as a matter of them saying, hey, Telesto is broken. Let's just go into Telesto and fix it. Telesto interacts with so many different things, right? So it's not just Telesto, a gun, you just go to change this, boom, it's fixed. If that was the case, Telesto wouldn't be broken every single season. That to me shows me that, hey, these things are a lot more complicated than we may understand. As they continuously say, making games is hard. The developers say it all the time, making games is hard. They don't try to use that as an excuse, but I think they just try to use it in a way to say to consumers that, hey, look, we want to give you what you want. It's not that we don't want to give you that, right? They want to give us the experiences that we dream of. But the fact of the matter is, reality steps in and says you just can't do that, or it's difficult to do that, or it takes time to do that. And people just need to be understanding of that, because at the end of the day, I'm not a developer, I don't code, I don't make games, I play them. So I can't sit up and complain, hours on end about things that I don't really understand. I can sit here and try to understand it the best of my ability, which is what I'm doing right now, but ultimately all I can try to do is understand where they're coming from. And that's what I'm doing, So you'll never catch me basically being super negative on anything. I'm not super positive about everything, but I don't harp on the negativity, because at the end of the day, I'm not a businessman, I'm not a game developer, I'm not a CEO of a gaming company. I'm none of those things, right? I can critique them all day, but there's a line where it stops, because that's not my area of expertise. You can be a blogger, writer, whatever the case is, but you're not an expert in the field that you're critiquing. You can learn about it, which is what I try to do. I try to learn as much as I can about the things that I'm writing and talking about, but I will never be an expert. I will never be as experienced as the people that I'm writing about. So there always needs to be that kind of fine line of understanding, right? So, hopefully all that makes sense. That's kind of where I'm sitting at right now. And that's why I don't talk about a lot of things, because I won't simply just put my input out there just for the sake of. Before I like to talk about things, I like to at least understand what it is that I'm talking about. I feel like you should always think before you speak. But nowadays in this industry of, game journalism and journalism in general, people speak before they think and write before they read, So that's kind of what that is, man.